Hey there, this is Elena with Black Sheep 303 Creative, and today I am going to be making this adorable pop-up grill card for Father's Day using my Silhouette Cameo. Now I did purchase this out of the Silhouette Design Store, and I will link it in the video description below in case you're interested. I know I am right up on Father's Day as I'm posting this video, but if you need a last minute card, you could make this in easily like a day. I mean, it's really pretty fast once you get everything cut. Or you can adapt this, I think, pretty easily just by changing the greeting to a 4th of July card or any kind of summer card. It's just really cute. Like, who doesn't love grilling in the summer? All right, so I'm going to close this and show you how it comes into Silhouette Studio when you first open it. Now, I am in Silhouette Studio Business Edition. However, everything I'm going to be doing today, you can do in the basic free version. So don't worry that I have more icons or something. Everything I'm doing, you can do as well if you have the free version. So you'll see that the whole thing is grouped together, and that's fine. It's really kind of nice because you can see how to sort of assemble everything once you get everything cut out. However, for me, this isn't great because I want to group all of my colors together so that when I cut it out, I can cut it all at once. Like, I want to save as much time as I possibly can. And if I can cut this, do everything I need to do in one go, that's what I'm going to do. So I basically ungrouped it by going up here and clicking ungroup. And then you may need to ungroup elements within that to like pull it apart. So ungroup again, then you can pull this off that. And then just move them, rearrange them so that all of the same colors are together to conserve your cardstock like so. So I can, have a black piece, it'll cut all the black pieces. I can have a silver piece, so it will cut all the silver pieces, brown, yellow, etc., as you can see. And it's really easy to sort of tell how big a piece of cardstock you need just by counting the squares. So the dark squares are an inch, so 1, 2, 3. I know this is 7, so I know I need a silver piece of cardstock in the upper left corner of my mat that is 7 by 3, and this is 7 by 12 in the lower part of my mat, and then and this is 2 by 2, and etc. And I can just lay out the various different colors of cardstock on my mat exactly as I see them here now that I have them all grouped together by color. One thing I do want to point out when you do that is you have to be really careful about these 3 black tabs, because if I go to the send panel over here in the upper right, you can see that there are these dotted lines that are drawn on the 3 tabs as well as on the larger black piece down here. Now I didn't move this piece, but if you move it, you'll have to think about this as well. We have to make sure that you grab those dotted lines before you move the element. Otherwise, you'll wind up with the element over here and the dotted lines stuck where they are. How do you think I know that? So the way to fix that is go back to the design panel and then, pull the colored elements off of it, and then very carefully click and drag to select the black tab. Do not select the corn below like so. Just grab the black tab and then move it. And you can rotate it up here and that kind of thing. But the quick way then to tell if you grabbed the dotted lines at the same time is go back to the send tab and make sure that you see them, which they are there on the tab. So that's just something you need to watch out for if you move things around and group them by color like I already did. And then the other thing I want to point out is that we have this Happy Father's Day greeting that is really, really cute, but it is tiny. So let me zoom in here quite a bit to this. If I just select the Happy Father's Day, you can see that it's like 2 inches wide by, like a 1/4 of an inch. I mean, it's really small. And I was not confident that this would cut at all. Like, not well, definitely. So I decided what I was going to do is change it to a draw file. We're going to draw it instead of cut it. So if I go up here to the upper left, you can see that the fill color right now is black, and I'm going to change that to a light gray just so we can see some important elements to this. Now you may notice that around the outline of each letter is a red line. And right now that's what the machine would consider the cut line, but even if we change that to say like a different color and then change that to sketch, the machine is only going to sketch the outline of the letters. And I don't want that. I want it to fill in for me so I don't have to go back and fill it in on my own by hand. So the way to do that is to go over here on the right hand toolbar and go to the line effects panel, which is this sort of scribbly line looking thing. And yes, you do have this in the basic free version. And you are looking for probably one of these two fill effects. I kind of like the crosshatch, so that's what I'm going to use now. And you see if I click that, it changed to this weird crosshatch effect. And you can't read it at all. So you're thinking, why would you do that? Well, what we have to do is change the spacing. So the spacing is, kind of big right now, especially for such a small word. I'm going to drag it all the way to the left, this triangle, to get it as close together as I can possibly get it. And you'll see that it fills in very nicely. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. And, it's very linear, like straight up and down. So I want to angle this just a tiny bit to kind of soften that look. So I'm going to go up to about 30 degrees. And that makes it look a little less obvious when it's drawn. But really, with the pen that I'm using, you're not going to even see the lines. It's just going to be all filled in. And the last thing we got to do is change the line color here from red, which is what the machine now is using for everything as the cut line. We don't want to cut it, so we're going to sketch it. So we got to change the line color to something else. So the line color designation is this box here in the upper left. Click on that and then pick something else. So I'm going to pick blue. Whoops. And so it changes to a different color, and I know I can now tell the machine to treat this line color different than the other ones. All right, so if we go back to my setup here, I've already done that. You can see my blue here on my greeting. Everything else is red as far as an outline. You can kind of tell that here. I'm going to hit send and go up to the send panel on the right. So normally when you go to the send panel, depending on what you did for your last project, it may default to the simple tab, which basically simple is just cut everything. Basically, you can't pick things apart. It's just going to treat everything the same. We don't want that for this project. I want to change it to line. We're going to cut by line color. So if I go up here to the upper right and then click on line to highlight that, go off the simple tab and go onto the line tab, you'll see that there are sort of three separate lines here. We've got bright blue, crosshatchy blue, and red. And if you look at the project, we've got red lines. Here are the dotted dark blue lines, and then the bright blue of the greeting. That's what we want because we want to change the function or the action of each colored line by the color. So you also want to make sure that you change your material appropriately as well. I'm going to be cutting this out of pretty heavy cardstock, like 80 to 100 pound, fairly high GSM weight. Cardstock, I know from experience that the Cameo will not cut through the cardstock I'm using if I just use the plain cardstock setting. I have to change everything to cover stock heavy. So I have that already done for the red lines, but I need to change that for the dotted lines as well. So I'm going to go to click on the drop down menu for material and then go down to cover stock heavy right here. And those are both set to cut. Now on the top is where I want to draw the greeting, but it's right now it's set to cut. And cardstock plain is fine because it doesn't matter what you're drawing on really. I'm just going to leave that as is. And so under action, I'm going to click that drop down menu and choose sketch. And it automatically changes to a pen. Now the last thing I have to do before I send this to my machine is I need to add a pause between the sketch and the cut because we need to be able to remove the pen and put in the blade. If we don't do this, and I just have the pen in there, then it's going to basically like draw all these lines with the pen, and that won't help us. So with this top line highlighted, dark gray, I'm going to go down to here and click Add Pause. And that will put a pause in between the sketch and the cut actions. So once the machine is done drawing, it'll stop, and then I can switch out the pen for the blade. All right, so now let's go over to the machine and the mat. I'm going to show you how I have loaded my mat with all these different colors of cardstock to cut it in one go. And then we're going to cut it all and put it together. So over here at my mat, you will see that I have laid out the cardstock exactly as we had the shapes laid out in Silhouette Studio. This is a great way to use up all your little scraps, especially for these small pieces. And it's a little bit of a puzzle to fit it all together, but not too hard. So the first thing we're going to do is draw with a pen, and I'm going to use the black sketch pen. So to get this to work in the machine, we have to use the blue adapter. Now this comes with your Cameo 4, it should. When you purchase the basic machine, it comes with these 4 adapters for various older blades and things like that. So the blue one is what you use for sketch pens. So they'll actually come flat. And so you just want to fit it into the sketch pen, or into the holder. You do want to make sure there's this line kind of across the bottom of the sketch pen here. You want to make sure that is inside the adapter, because if it gets too far down, you know, like if it's outside the adapter, the pen is sitting too low, and then it'll drag across your paper when it goes to write. So you want to be careful about that. And then you just clip it together. It just, you know, sort of clips into itself there. All right, so to remove the AutoBlade, it's in the first carriage. I'm going to pull this forward till it snaps. Pull the AutoBlade straight up, set that down. And then this guy's going to go with the silver panel to the back, straight down into the carriage. And it'll stop. There's like a blue ring that will stop it. So just push it down to the blue ring, and then just snap the first carriage back. All right, so I'm going to load my mat. So I'm lining it up with the gray arrows here on the side. All right, so we are ready to cut, and so I'm going to go back over to the software and hit send. Alright, it's finished sketching, and it has paused as we added the pause to Silhouette Studio. So I'm going to pull this forward and pull it straight out, and then replace it with the AutoBlade. So the flat back goes to the flat back in the machine. Push it down until it stops. Press the tab in, and now we are ready to cut. Okay, it's finished cutting. You probably noticed that I had to Frankenstein some tape on here. I had some issues with the first cutting, so I did wind up putting blue tape kind of all around my various pieces of paper because my mat wasn't really sticky enough. But it all was great the second time, so I'm sure this is cut through. Yeah, so I'm gonna unload the mat. Okay, here we are with all of the elements separated on my mat here. I wanted to show you that the perforation lines along the tabs here, like this one and this one, come up above the grill body itself, like they're right here. It's cute when you fold it because then the sides are higher than the actual like grill part, which is cute. However, it does mean that you can't use the 3 grill mark pieces, because if you look closely, hopefully you can tell, the perforation line is there, and then if you put these on, it falls off the side. So you have 2 choices. You can come back with a straight edge and a bone folder or like a credit card or something and rescore where the body of the grill is. And then they will fold where the body meets the, you know, like here, rather than here. If you don't want to go to that much trouble, the other option is to trim these down, and then the two fit real nicely on that shorter side of the grill. So it's kind of up to you what you want to do. I think I'm going to do the score. Thing you have to be aware of, if you score it, then you've got this perforation line that you need to cover up. So I think if I put the grill piece all the way up against the score line, it should be fine. Alright, I've got all the major like small pieces adhered where they need to go on the bigger pieces. So this is pretty easy to do, it's fairly obvious. You can always refer to the photo of the design or the way it opens initially in Silhouette Studio, but be aware that in Silhouette Studio when it opens, all of the pieces are on this one side of the black piece, and that is not what you should do. You put the grill pieces, the top border, and then the Happy Father's Day on this side, and then on the back side you need to put the like grill doors and then the knobs across the front. So just bear that in mind. Now to assemble this, I have used double-sided tape and put it on all of the tabs. So there's on this these tabs, and then on each of the two tabs on these little cross pieces. Now one thing I did want to mention was I did add a little detailing to the die cuts with some distress inks as well as a marker. Like I drew a little bit on this corn. I'm not going to do that here for the purposes of time, but I do have a really nice Halloween card that I made where I shaded all of the die cuts for it. So I will link to that probably right here on the screen and then in the video description as well. Alright, so let's get to assembly of this card. So the easiest way to do this, I have found, is figure out the order you want them in. So I want them in this order. And on one side, I'm going to peel off the tab. And I'm going to line up the side of the tab with the fold on the back and the fold on the side. And then just press it in place. I'll go a little bit in from them, you know, just so when it folds, it's got some space. And just press that down. And so that one is good to go. And then I'm going to go to the second layer. Same thing, except this time I'm going to butt up the tab next to this one in front and the top line. So, like so. And hopefully you get them straight. And then we will repeat the same thing for the third one. There we go. Now they are a little bit crooked, but I'm just going to force them to go into a straight line because I want them to be, to line up over here on this side. So now what I'm going to do is I've got them all lined up the way I want them, and I'm going to peel off the backing on the tape. You do want to use tape that is backing, at least I think that's a lot easier. They can just stay exactly as you see them. And then all we do is fold this over and press it down. And then like magic, they are in place on the grill. So then all we need to do is peel off the side and then press this down. Now this can get a little tricky because you want to make sure that you get the side and the feet straight. Okay, and then it folds flat to go in an envelope. But let me put the utensils across the back. And then as a finishing touch, I'm going to add some enamel dots to the front of this to just give the knobs and the door handles a little bit of dimension. So there's the completed card, really cute. I did put those, hopefully you can see, sort of liquid drops on the handles and the knobs. I'm waiting for that to dry. And really, really cute. And then you just fold it flat to mail it, if you need to mail it or give it. So I do think you could easily adapt this card from Father's Day to 4th of July, or even, you know, a birthday card in the summer, or somebody who really likes to grill. You know, there's lots of options for this really cute little design. That's why I wanted to share it. Thanks so much. Have a great day.